In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create and prototype a drop-down menu. It's going to be as simple as possible. And right in front of us, we're going to be using the design from a previous tutorial where I was showing you how to prototype a one-page website with a clickable navigation. If you haven't watched that, I'm going to attach a link. So let's go straight into our tutorial. We're going to go through this as fast as possible. We have our header, we have a hero section, about, services, testimonial, CTA, contact, and the footer. So the first thing we're going to do is to create a navigation component. I'm sure you notice some text on the right. This is just going to be the text for our services. So this is what we are going to be using to create our drop-down menu. I promised you that I was going to show you how to prototype a navigation, but we're going to do that as fast as possible. I'm going to bring these two out, about and my services, and the reason is that one is a drop-down menu while the other one isn't. So I'm just going to hold Alt and bring it out. And we are going to duplicate. If we inspect this navigation link, you notice I've already added an auto layout to this, which has a padding left and right of 10, top and bottom of 10. The same thing with this, 10, 10. We are going to select all of this and we are going to create a component set. Drop down menu, create component set. Now we're going to call the two first ones a default state, which is fine. And the next two are going to be our hover state. But before we change this to hover, let's make sure that we change our color, because when it hovers, there needs to be a visual indication that it is a hover state. So make sure both are selected. Come to where you have selection colors, and we're going to give this green. Okay. Now with these two still selected, we're going to change our property to hover. And let's make sure that we change property 1 to state just to keep things organized. Now you notice that there's still a notification here telling me that the variants are conflicting. We need to fix that. So select the navigation link components. If you haven't changed your title, change your title of the component to navigation link or whatever name you prefer. And come to where you have properties, click on the plus button. We're going to create a variant. And the name of our variant is going to be Dropdown. And our value is going to be true. Create property. So it still tells us that some variants have the same property values applied, and that is because since we gave the drop-down value of true, it still recognizes that all of the elements inside here are true, so which means about and my services are both true, but that is false because this is a drop-down menu, but this is not going to be a drop-down menu. So we're going to select about, and we're going to give this a value of false. Okay. The next thing we need to do is to create a prototype so that if we hover over this, it's going to change to this. So select the prototype. So come to our prototype tab. We're going to start with about, click on the plus node and drag it down to our hover state. And let's inspect our interaction pop-up. The trigger should be while hovering. Action should be changed to state hover. Animation can be smart animate. The duration is fine. We'll do the same thing for my services. Click on the plus node, drag it down to its hover state. Make sure that it links. It has to link to the hover state. The trigger should be while hovering. Action change to, and everything looks fine here. The last thing we're going to do is to give all our text a label. So select all by holding down Ctrl and Shift. So it selects just the text inside the frame. Then we are going to come to a design tab. Click on where you have apply variable or property. Then you click on the plus button and we're going to give it a name of label. So our label is going to be whatever name we are giving to our navigation link item. When you're done, you click on create property. Okay, so I think we are done with our navigation link components. I'm going to bring out about, holding Alt, and I'm bringing out the drop-down menu holding Alt. Make sure you hold Alt so it duplicates it so that it will not instead bring out the original component. And we are going to give these new labels. Alt Shift to duplicate. I'm going to select all and hit Shift A to give this an auto spacing. Let's just inspect this to see 32. So the gap is 32 and I want it to be the same. Let it be 32. I'm going to quickly copy, Control C to copy. About is fine, my services, testimonials, and contact. So I'm just copying the text and replacing. This is not a component. You notice that its outline is blue, while this is a component. You notice its outline is purple. So we're going to replace this frame with this frame. So select this, Control X to cut. Select just the navigation frame, this main frame that carries all of the navigation link. Right click and we are going to do a paste to replace. So right now we have a component for a navigation link. Great. And what we can quickly do is to test out to see if our components are working the way it should. So we're going to click on Home and we come to where we have our present icon. Click on Presents and we have this, so you can hover and see that it works. But now our drop down is supposed to work. If you click on My Services, it's supposed to bring out a drop down navigation. Now let's create a drop down navigation. We already have a nav link. We are going to be using the component to create a drop down navigation link. So I'm just holding that Alt to duplicate. And we're going to be copying this text. That is why we had a text there. Control Shift V so that it pastes the style exactly the way it is. Now let's do a Control V to see what happens. You see it copied this style and applied it here, but that is not what it's supposed to do. So I'll just undo that and hit Control Shift V to paste the style. I'll copy corporate training, Control Shift V, and the last one is going to be workshops and events, Control Shift V. Okay, so we don't have any use for this anymore. And we're going to create a frame. Select all the items we just added, Shift A to create an auto layout. And we are going to give this a gap of 60, padding left and right of 24. Bottom top can be 32. It can be any value you choose. I'm just giving this very randomly. So you notice that this is cutting out our items, so we need to double click on the edge so that it adjusts it to make sure that alignment is to the left. Okay, so our frame, we can just call this drop down, and we can change the background of our frame. Come to where we have PO, click on, we can give this blue, and let's play around with the style just a little bit. We can change the corner radius, make sure that the frame is selected. Change the corner radius here. We can give this 12, and here we can give it 12. So the bottom right and the bottom left corner radius 12, 12. And we will notice that it has changed. Can we do any other thing here? Maybe we can change the opacity, but we'll have to disconnect our style. And let's click on this. We'll reduce our opacity here. I'll tell you why we are reducing our opacity here. It's because I want us to add an effect, which is going to be the background blur. So with this still selected, come to where you have effect, click on plus, and the drop down should be background blur. We can increase our background blur to any value we want. Okay. I think I like how the drop down menu looks like. So if you want to use this drop-down menu multiple times, you can create a component. But for this tutorial, we're going to just use this drop-down menu just the way it is. The next thing we need to do is to create a prototype to make sure that the drop-down menu pops out when you click on My Services. So we're going to go to our prototype tab, and we're going to click on My Services. Make sure that My Service is selected. We'll click on the plus node and drag it towards the drop-down menu. Pay attention to this. So for the interaction, a trigger should be on click. Remember, we have already used the hover state, so we can't use it twice. Our action should be open overlay. Overlay is a drop-down menu. Then a position should not be centered. It can be centered, it can be top left, depending on if you know that it has to be a fixed position. But in this case, I want us to have more flexibility over the positioning of our drop-down menu. So I'm going to click on manual, and what you see is giving me a semi-transparent version of how the drop-down is going to appear. So I'm going to click on this and drop it where I want it to appear, so I can make it appear at the very center here. And when I'm okay with the position, then I'm going to come back to our interaction pop-up. Now what will happen to the drop-down menu if I don't want to see it again? I can enable the close when clicking outside, so which means that if I click anywhere apart from the drop-down menu, it's going to automatically close the drop-down menu. Our animation, we can change this to dissolve or to move in. Let's just try and see what moving looks like. I'm going to click on the direction, which is down. Our duration is fine. So I think our drop down menu is good to go. So when you're done and you're sure of your settings, then we can now go back to our design tab and let's test to see if our drop down menu is working the way it's supposed to. So we're going to go back to our presents, click on presents, and we're going to hover over this. So you see our hover state is still working, but now if I click on it, it brings out our drop down menu right from the top. I don't know if I like the way it came out, so I'm going to go back to our prototype tab just to change that animation. It did not make sense at all, and we are going to change this to dissolve, and yeah, we can make it bouncy, and we can change our duration to, let's say, 300, and let's test to see how it looks. I'll just close this and we're going to preview this again. Okay, so the reason why I did that was because I noticed that the preview was showing me the very first results from the preview we had when we wanted to test out our navigation, and the navigation wasn't displaying right. So you can just rewind to see what I'm talking about and come back to it. So with this, let's now test out to see if our menu is working the way it should. Okay, and if I click outside, it closes the drop-down menu. I click again, it brings this out. You see that if I hover over the navigation, it's fine. And if I click outside, it closes the navigation. So there are so many ways that you can create a drop-down menu. And with this, you can even go as far as connecting these navigation items to other pages. Maybe in our next tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do that. But for this tutorial, we are done. And I hope that this has been helpful. If you have any questions, don't forget to leave those questions in the comment section. Please don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to share. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, bye-bye.